Welcome back to the Evolution of Mom. I am so excited for today's special guest, my dear friend, Angela Backus. And as you know, here at the Evolution of Mom, I am all about bringing you as much value as possible when it comes to learning about self-care, learning about yourself and how you can grow to whatever it is that you want to do and want to achieve. And my friend here is one of my favorite examples of that. She is a beautiful mother of two, a retired dental hygienist when she decided entrepreneurial life was more for her and that she could serve more from this space that she's in now compared to her practice. And I mean, we have connected over so many things. And one of them is our love for holistic living, toxin-free living, and all of those beautiful things that we have discovered. And that's actually what brought us together. And we have connected over amazing things as well.
It's been
But
like 4 years now.
I know. Has it been 4 years?
It has.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. Love that I've known you that long.
Right?
But we've also really come to realize that talking about our differences are just as important, and coming together in our differences are just as important as the things that have brought us together, which are our similarities. And I'm just really excited to dive into your story today and dive into your message because I think it's one that everyone needs to hear. So welcome. Angela, tell us a little about yourself.
This is so exciting. And I'm just like so honored you asked. I've been watching you through how this all started and just what you've done with it and where you're going with it is absolutely incredible. So
Thank you.
good job. So yeah, like Amy said, I was a dental hygienist before I started this. So I went to school for what is it, like 4 years for hygiene. Like it's crazy, right? $75,000 of debt. And that's a lot. Like that is a lot of commitment to give something up. Right. So went to school, did that very much like living my life like in all the boxes. Like the goal was graduate, get engaged, get married, have a baby, and continue on with my life that I had planned. And when I graduated, got engaged, got pregnant, planned my wedding, and my whole life literally just blew up in my face. And I'm not going to get into details because I don't feel like that's what we need to do to get a point across. But what I can tell you is that when you end up with your options being a women's shelter, going from making like $45 an hour, completely like sustainable and able to do all these things, and then a circumstance happening that literally leaves you barefoot and pregnant with no roof over your head, kind of like no income. And when I say no income, I mean no income, because when you go on a leave here in BC, you have to wait 6 weeks for that paperwork to process. So literally no income. And like I said, like my world literally exploded into everything that I had not planned for. And I would say during that process, though, that process of trial is when I really found my roots of getting to that point of being at my weakest and my most vulnerable, but also having that moment of just complete and total, like, you have two choices right now. You're either going to continue, you're not going to keep going with anything, or you're going to stand up, put one foot in front of the other, and be the mom that you have been lucky enough to be chosen to be. Like that was like right at that moment, like that was that. And I obviously made the choice to keep going and put that first foot in front of the other. And it really like you just plant those, like, that's where you start to build where I started to build my strength, realizing that sometimes that's all you have, strength, and then really creating space for growth. The best part about being at rock bottom is you can rebuild whatever you want, right? You can do whatever you want. So I think when I started that, it was just about becoming a better me so I could be a better mom. And I think every mom, whether your story is like mine or not, we all get to that point where it's like, okay, I have to become a better version of me so that I can be a really good mom. I think that's relatable to any mom.
I think so too. And I think that's so beautiful that you discovered that when you did, because like you said, there's two paths that you can go on in that. You can keep, digging yourself down, or you can find the tools and find the inner strength and things you need to move forward and to grow. It's one thing even to just move forward, but to grow is another, and choose yourself and choose to dive into the things that are going to make you not only a better person, but a better mother as well. And it's hard when the narrative is actually quite the opposite. When we dive into ourselves and take time that's selfish, air quotes
Oh,
there, it's spun into this negative, well, oh my gosh, how could you? That is
yep.
taking time away from your children, time away from your household, time away from your family. When really, and you and I both know this so deeply, that when we take the time that aligns with ourselves, that feels good for us, that fills our cup and allows us that growth, it ripples out into our children, into our household, and into everything that we're doing. So it's actually quite the opposite.
Yeah, I remember when I really started, like, so I was doing hygiene 3 days a week. I would say like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then I was waitressing Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And my mom would bring my daughter to the bar at the door because she wasn't allowed in. I'd give her a kiss and I would say goodnight to her. And that was okay. Everybody was super supportive of the single mom working two jobs kind of thing. But when I took that second job from being an employee to being an entrepreneur, because when you start entrepreneurship, it requires massive time. At the beginning of your entrepreneurship, you're not getting paid dollars for hours, right? You're putting in more time than you're getting paid, and that's just the way it is. And I was told that I was selfish. I was a horrible mother. I was, you name it. I had family members that I really close family members tell me that I was being a horrible,
Yeah.
like people that you really care about, not just like strangers in the street or people that watch your Instagram or whatever, right? Like really close personal people. And I had to remember, I remember just with the training and the exposure that we get in our community, that you have to put the blinders on, put the earmuffs on, and just like stay true to your vision, right?
Yeah.
And within 15 months of making, like, just going like blind driven to my goal, 15 months, I had completely 180'd my life. Like,
You did.
and create, it's true.
Yeah,
Created
you
and
did.
created, and you saw it. Like
Yep.
we both went hard.
Yep.
Created a life. You gave up your license as well, right? Like you did the same thing. Amy and I kind of like our beginning journeys are so similar. And I think that's why we have so much respect for each other, because we know how much effort it takes to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And how what the perspective is when you give up a good thing or
A
a
good job.
yeah, right.
A good job. And there
Yeah.
you're
And I mean, I also don't believe in job security as well. I don't think there is ever such thing as job security. And I think even in the last year or two, we've really seen that that's not a thing for a lot of people. And so I do really, it's hard when someone's like, well, how are you going to give up your sure thing job? How are you going to go do this? And it really taught me that one, you don't ever take advice from people you wouldn't trade places with.
no.
Even if these people have quite an impact on your life or have quite a close relationship to you, would you
No,
trade places with them?
no, right? You don't take advice from them. Or just take what like, right, like you can open a book and not every single page is going to have something that serves you, but there is going to
Yeah.
be something in there that either you can learn a lesson from or that you can learn from.
Absolutely. And you have
So
to give grace. You have to know that it's coming from a space of love. They're just fearful for you. But when you have something on your heart and you know that there's more going on for you in life and more that you can reach for and achieve for, like that's on there for a reason. And there are
mhm.
so few people who choose to listen to that and stay, in their space of comfort, which again, I'm going to use comfort in air quotes because are we really comfortable? Or are we just staying in a place that's familiar to us, right? Like, yeah, you may have been comfortable, maybe not so much, doing the hygienist, doing the waitressing. It had quite a little bit of a balance to it, right? A few days here, a
Mhm.
few days here, and that, like you said, was very socially acceptable. But you knew it wasn't the end all be all. You knew
Well, can
you
you
wanted more.
imagine like doing that and like where was I going to be in 10 years?
Yes.
Where was I going to be? So my daughter was like, from the time I went back to work, she was 10 months old. So from 10 months old to 3. Like, where was I? Like, I just kept looking at this. I was like, I can't do this for even another 3 years.
Mhm.
Like it just wasn't how I wanted to be in my daughter's life. Like, I remember coming home from hygiene. I would drop her off in the morning to daycare. I was never done the job before I had to pick her up from daycare. So by the time the daycare closed, she was there a long time. And then my mom would pick her up. And I remember coming home, stopping at my parents, grabbing a bite to eat, and she puked all over me because she was sick. But my bills needed to be paid. So I had to, like, she just wanted mommy. I had to just hand my sick baby over, go have a quick shower, put on a different black shirt, and head out of the house. And like, I wanted to be more present in my child's life. I wanted to have what I have now. And I like, when you put on that blind focus, when you decide to just dig your heels in and take that first step, you can completely transform your life.
Mhm. And that's what you've done. You've transformed your life, not only financially, but mentally, physically, spiritually. Like, it's a
Yeah.
whole different person that you become when you choose to step
Oh,
into what you're called to do. And when you choose to let go of what isn't serving you anymore, even when
yeah.
it's a sure thing.
I can't do the sure thing.
I know it
Even
gives me
now,
goosebumps when I say
like,
it.
and even now, like you said, like in 15 months, I retired from my hygiene job. I had given up waitressing and I was doing this network marketing job full time. Well, I've been doing it full time for 18, 19, 20, 3 years now. And even now, I want to pivot. I don't want to give it up, but I want to start bringing in other passions and doing other things. And the beautiful thing is that I've built a foundation that allows space. It allows for the harmony of the different balls that we're always juggling to be reorganized.
Mhm.
I
I
don't know
love
how
that.
else to explain it, right? Like,
Mhm. No, I love that. When we dive into things that are going to bring us, yeah, like a residual income, it can be just the base of what our life really is. It can be what
100%.
funds the dream. It can be, so much more. And I just, I love what it teaches you about yourself, right? When you have to be accountable to yourself for your hours, for your responsibilities, for instead of being, responsible for someone else, not for someone else, but someone else is keeping you accountable, maybe would be what I was
100%.
looking for. It teaches you so much about yourself and it gives you really great habits, really great consistency. And I think that's like key in life, not only just with business, but it has taught me so much about how the rest of my life needs to be run as well. And I really do value all the lessons I have learned from stepping out of, my education was very expensive as well and very time consuming and things. And I did love helping women. I had a practice based around women's health, a lot of pelvic balancing and pre and postnatal care. And like, I will cherish that forever. But I've also been able to bring that forward as a lot of your knowledge in health and anatomy and things have been able to bring you forward in what you do now as well. So I never believe that we've wasted time or
Oh,
wasted
never.
money or in the things that we have done. And even the journey that you have been on where you had those moments of your life literally exploding. Can you, now that you've been on this journey, look back on that with almost a gratitude of you can see why it had to happen?
100%. 100%. And I always say, like, the wounds were deep. Like, it was a very, we've talked about it. It was a very, I don't know the word to say. It was a very stressful. I don't even like touches the surface. it was a very traumatic experience. And everything that I went through made me so much stronger, made me so much more resourceful. It gave me so much more compassion for other women who face and not be judgmental because you don't know what that situation is. You don't know. And yeah, it just like it completely shifted everything. And what it's really done is like put this deep seated desire to really help other women become as financially like financially stable. Like, no, I'm not talking, and I don't mean like having a job so that like having a job is great, but I mean like multiple resources of income because if you get yourself in a situation, like we've even learned this last year, and something changes or something happens, like having that multiple resources of income is just like being financially independent. I like it just, I want to write a book about it. I'm going to take all of this. I'm going to
Yeah.
take all of this experience and I am going to put it in a book one day. Because I think, yeah, it's just like, that is my passion. I want to see women be able to stand on their feet. I want to see children, empowered women, empowered children. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Empowered women, empowered children. Like that are like,
Honestly.
in any country, in anywhere we are, the more empowered women we have, the more empowered children, the more healthy, happy, like, right? Like it just, I will never be able to stress enough how important it is for women to be able to take care of themselves. And I mean, take care of themselves. I don't mean working 5 different jobs, because we need to have a harmony between our career, exercise, spirituality, relationships, like all of those aspects of our life, all those balls that we're juggling, they need to run in harmony. There's never going to be perfect balance, but they need to be able to ebb and flow together.
Mm-hmm.
And working 3 different jobs that are dollar per hour is never going to give you that. You have to get smarter. And if you don't understand how to do that, you have to become resourceful and you have to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. And there's always ways to do that. There's always people to talk
So
to.
many, yeah.
Right? Like people who are doing what you want to do, who are ahead of you, are always going to give you advice, and they're always going to give you advice that you want, not the advice from, the people who maybe aren't the ones you want to trade places with, like we mentioned
100%.
earlier.
If someone's not going to give you advice because they're in fear of losing something, then that's not the person you want advice from.
Nope. Because
because they're actually not as successful as you may think they are.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Successful people will never give you a lack of abundant advice
100%.
and encouragement. Right. You're never going to hear an entrepreneur who's successful be like, oh my God, don't do that.
Yeah.
No, they're going to be like, yeah, go for it. Work your
successful,
ass off and go.
Yeah. If they are really successful, they're going to give you like advice and like help you go down which avenue you need to go down to find the success. Right. Like that constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm. And typically what is on your heart, what your skills are, what your passions are, what you feel like maybe your purpose is, there is an avenue there for you.
Mm-hmm.
There is an avenue for you to monetize your passions. I'm a deep believer in that. And, this journey has brought you to so many beautiful places, and your growth is expansional. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. You inspire me all the time. Honestly, I love now that you're diving into other avenues and you're going into this other entrepreneurial journey, which blends together beautifully. How are you finding your ball juggling? How's that going with motherhood and things?
I think this is a really good topic for us. So when I was doing the jobs and stuff before, and then I could see that this network marketing opportunity was going to give me more time freedom to be present with my children. And I needed that because I needed to heal. And I've had it. And it's been, like I said, I think about 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. Oh, it's crazy. 3 years of being able to be 90% be able to just choose what I want to do when I want to do it. And I do really want to have this back again in the future. So I will never give up my residual income. I'm going to continue to grow it because it gives opportunity and freedom like nothing I've ever seen before. Mm-hmm. But what I've realized is now that I've been home with my son, he'll be 2 in February, is I'm not a stay-at-home mom. So I'm not. And it was really starting to play with my mental health. And I was becoming very aware of where I was going because I have been down that path before. For myself, I have ADHD, different, I'm just a busy brain. I like to be stimulated all the time. And being at home and just having that real slowdown and taking it at toddler pace is not for me. It's just not.
And that's okay.
I know, right? And it was really hard to admit because it was all I ever wanted. But at this, I don't know, I want to give women permission to be powerful. I want women to know that whatever it is that you want to be, if you're being powerful at home by homeschooling like you are, if you're being powerful by working and, you have your kids in daycare or different care facilities and you're doing it differently, you can be powerful in so many ways. Not one way is the only way.
And not
Right?
one way is the right way. And one
No,
isn't better than the other,
no,
because one,
100%.
you as a mom who has noted that being at home all day, every day with your children plays on your mental health, doesn't
Yeah.
serve you as a mother, and it doesn't serve your children.
It
So
does not serve my children at
staying
all.
in that space, you are
Yeah.
now in an unresourceful state constantly for your children.
Yeah.
When if you can get, like, I know you send Dylan to daycare a couple hours here and there or however it works, he comes back, you have had your time to do your work, to dive into your passions, to do all the things that make you happy and fill your cup. And now when he's home with you, you are in a resourceful state. You have done the things that fill you up. That's what matters. It doesn't matter whether it's out at a job, at home like I do. It doesn't matter. No way is right or wrong. What is wrong is you staying in a state that continues to diminish you and diminish your light and put you in this state of emptiness and overwhelm. That's not serving anybody.
I think it was really cool, because when I had Braylon, like it was court ordered that I had to share custody or parenting time with her, and I didn't want that. But what that forced time made me do was learn how valuable personal care is. So on those days that I didn't have her, I would go paddleboarding, or I would book a pedicure, or book and go do a class in a different town, like go to Kamloops or go to Kelowna or go to Calgary or whatever. The weekends I didn't have her, I would make a trip out of it. And I started to fill my cup and fill my cup. And I never knew, like I thought maybe at the beginning, like maybe my cup was like a little shot glass.
Right?
But my cup grew into this great big huge, I don't know, like waterfall of just wanting to be filled so I could overflow into other people and being a better mom. And then when I had my son and I was at home and the world shut down and I got all weird again, I realized that I had outgrown who I used to be. And to be the person that I strive to be, that I want to be in a year from now or 10 years from now, like I needed to create that time in my schedule again to be able to fill my cup. And I don't feel an ounce of guilt about that.
Good.
So he loves his daycare. He loves going there. He's happy. He giggles on his way in. And when I pick him up, I'm excited to see him. And I found another thing too, like when I was with him during the day, I started to be kind of resentful of him. Like I started to project that, like, oh, could you just like go away for a minute energy? And I never, ever want my children to feel that energy from someone, especially their mother, because what is their subconscious taking on? What is starting to be instilled in them right as like little tiny toddlers are, right? Like I didn't want that for him. I wanted him to start feeling like people are excited to see him and he is valued and loved, and it was getting out of balance for me. So we had to make a shift.
And just what a beautiful awareness to make that shift. And I love that you say you've outgrown yourself. I think we have a deep fear of doing that, right? It can be really intimidating or upsetting when people come up to you and they say, hey, you've changed. And when people say that to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, good.
Yay!
Thank you for noticing, right? Look at me go. Like, yeah, no, I am not the same person. I don't want to be the same person I am right now next year and continuing forward. And I think it's really important to give women permission to do that. It's okay to, as you go along, discover things that aren't serving you anymore, that maybe were your staple things, to let them go.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
That stuff go is so valuable, and learning to let that stuff go just gives you so much more space and freedom to discover what's next.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. I think when we were just kind of talking before, it's like really cool how we have so many similarities and things are so different. And what is the word you use? Congruently. Like we figured out we don't have to be the exact same, and you can still be so supportive of another mom or another woman. Right?
That's right. I can still celebrate you for dropping your son off at daycare so that you can go do what you need to do, so you can pick him up in a full space when you get home. I absolutely can celebrate you for that. My kids haven't been in that kind of space. I've never put them in a daycare or anything like that. That's also okay.
And I can celebrate you for that. Like, really? And then it like blows my mind that women can do that. I'm just not built like that. I'm just not.
I have a lot of support. Like, don't get me wrong. There are days where I'm like, okay, mommy needs a break, but I take those breaks.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the thing. There are a lot of stay-at-home moms who take on everything, but don't balance it out with those breaks and that space. And I know that that can be very challenging to do sometimes, especially when you're looking at single parenting and, you know, you're not having, like, I have my parents 2 streets down and they commit to taking them at least one day a week so I can book all
Perfect.
my things and have that time. So I do find balance that way, but I know that that's not always possible for everyone. But I need to stress that it is so important to find that time, whether it be maybe it's earlier in the day before your kids wake up, maybe it's in the evening when they go to bed, whatever it is, try and take some productive mind and cup filling time for yourself.
And I find too, like one space that I really enjoy just filling my cup is in the car, like turning on an audible, right? Turning on an audible or turning on that podcast or even just like listening to the music that I want to listen to. That's not like Coco Melon or what.
Yes, that's a big one for me as
right?
well.
I'm like, we're going to listen to some like whatever I've got going on. And it's a good time in the car.
Yeah.
And then we turn it back.
Yes, that's a beautiful time to have time alone in the car.
Yeah.
Is amazing because, like you said, I do balance it between music that I need for my soul, and some of it's not stuff I would listen to with my children at all. So that's mommy's music, that's mommy's time that fills my cup. And you know what? Some of it feels weird to listen to in a minivan. It's like not as cool as when I had my truck when I was younger.
Favorite.
It just doesn't feel the same. I know you love me in my van.
Van with like DMX on or something. It's so good.
You know, it doesn't feel the same sometimes. So I have to kind of visualize that I'm maybe in a different vehicle, but you know, I love my van.
Oh, it's good.
I do. That's another difference of us. I don't think you've ever wanted to own a van in your life.
No, but you know what? My parents had a van when we grew up and I loved it. Like, I don't have anything against it. I don't desire that, but I can totally love that you do. So that's cool.
Yes. And I think women need to learn to not only celebrate themselves, because that's something we all deeply have a problem doing, but it's coming to my attention more and more. I mean, we're lucky because we're in such a beautiful community that we do celebrate each other so much, but women have a hard time celebrating each other.
Yes.
And that's a problem.
Yes.
Like everyone is doing the best that they can with what they are given, with what they know. You know, we can always grow out of what we know and we can know better and do better, but there has to be that grace and there has to be space for you to be able to celebrate the people in your life.
100%. And I think too, like with all the personal development that comes with this career that we have, you really become aware of how important you are. And that is really hard for some women to say. When I respond to your Instagram and I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks so beautiful today, or I absolutely love your hair, or you're walking through the grocery store and you see a lady with a coat on that you love, and you just say, hey, I love your coat. Like that's so, like, you just see people light up. Like you have so much power and so much presence to make other people feel so good. And we don't understand how important we are as humans to make other people realize how important they are.
Yes. It's such a gift we can give people. In my last episode, I really got into how we have control over one, I think more than we give ourselves credit for. We like to do a lot of outputting on what's running our life, but really we have a lot of control over that. And kindness is one of them.
Yes. Yes. Grace, kindness, compassion. You don't have to agree with it at all. But just to be able to observe that that's somebody else's opinion and that they're allowed to have that opinion and to be kind to them about it.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's just so needed now. And so you need to be able to learn to celebrate yourself. You need to be able to learn to celebrate others and to recognize that you have a lot of control over things.
Oh,
and
100%.
We've learned that a lot on this journey that we've been on together over this last few years, is that we have so much control over our internal and external environment, so much so that we can actually pick and choose things in our external environment, which a lot of people may not see as things that they have control over, and we can just let it go.
Oh, 100%. And we can also respect, like we can set our own boundaries, right?
Yes.
Like, and we can respect each other and celebrate someone's boundaries. So if we had a girls' night plan and you're like, Ange, I'm just white, you can feel so supported and be able to be vulnerable and honest about how you're feeling. Because I know you as a person. I know that you show up, you do the things, you walk with integrity, you do, like, you have all these really great core values that you run by. So when you come to me and you're like, hey, like, this isn't going to work for me, you're respected, you aren't in fear of being gossiped about. Like, there's just, it's like, it's just such a good space. Like, this whole career shift, everything that you're offered, everything that we get to have, like, grows us as women, grows us as friends, grows us as better human beings, kinder human beings, more compassionate human, like, everything.
Yeah.
More abundant human beings. Like, I don't know.
It's shown me the power of community too. And it shows me the power of who has influence over me as well. I think a really good way to discern great people in your life versus not is if they can celebrate you. And that's a
Yeah.
good one. And our community has a huge influence on our life. We talk about it a lot here. Me, that, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, and you can see it. You can. And so if you're in a space where people aren't celebrating you and you can, tell them good news and it's not really reciprocated as you would like and things, that's a really good space to evaluate and maybe look at where you need to let things go or spend less time or, take less words off that book that you were referring to earlier. It's very powerful to learn those boundaries and to learn how much control you really have over your life.
100%. And to not put people on a pedestal.
Yes.
Right? Like, you can celebrate people and we can love them and we can do all the things, but really taking everybody as everybody is human.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, things are going to be missed. Things are going to be, maybe the recognition that you needed from something or someone isn't there. But instead of becoming like vindictive or gossipy or whatever, you can just kind of like go back and just take all that development that you have and recognize that it's okay. You're doing this for you, right? Like, I'm doing this for me and my kids. I show up and do all of this because this is how I take care of home base.
Yes.
Right.
And home base is what matters.
Home
And
base is
it
what
can
matters.
be anything. I mean, I've even gotten flack for certain books that I'm reading. Oh my gosh, why would you read that book? Like, it doesn't have to be these big, grand dreams that you're expressing to people that maybe you're not feeling that support. It can be like, oh no, I'm reading this personal development book. How many times have you got like made fun of reading a personal development book?
All the time.
Like, you have to be able to just let that go and be like, you know what, that doesn't serve me. I know why I'm doing this. I know that this makes me a better person, which makes me a better mother, which makes me a better, all of the things.
100%.
So you have to find that conviction within yourself.
There's somebody that I really love, and she was recommending a book on Instagram recently. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally want to get this. And I downloaded it, and it does not align with me on any level. I was like, not for me. Do I think less of her or value her any less? Not at all. I absolutely love that she is so passionate and so honest and so open about who she is and what she has to say and her values and all of that. It just didn't align with me. So I returned it on Audible. But like, I love that I can celebrate her. I can celebrate her that she owns who she is and that she was honest about what she shared. And I can be like, and then I can use discernment and be like, oh, okay, that's fine. But that's just not what I want to listen to. So yeah.
Yeah. And growth journeys, that's what happens, right? You discover
100%.
what you like, what you don't like, what you need to spend your time on, what aligns with you, what doesn't. And as you go on this journey of growth and self-discovery and self-care and self-love, you do find those avenues and find those spaces. And so it's always worth taking the time for yourself
100%.
to pour into yourself.
Yeah. I love that I opened that book and listened to it and didn't find a place for it in my life right now. But from that exposure of other really powerful women who aren't afraid to share their truth, I can put that book in my filing cabinet. And maybe one day I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to go listen to that again. Right. Like, maybe I'm just not ready for it.
Yeah, I'm a deep believer in we'll hear things when we're ready to hear them.
Yeah.
Right. You've maybe heard things like that 50 times over in your life. And then that one moment, you're like, hey, what a great thing. Who knew? And it's like, you've heard it a bunch of times, but you just weren't ready for it.
I wasn't ready.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And I read the same books over and over again quite frequently too, ones that I know have huge impact and align with me, because I
Yeah.
get something different out of them every time, because I'm different every time I read them.
100%. Yes.
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 So
There
that's
is
the
one
beauty of
book.
growth as well.
What book is it? Oh, that we've listened to. I think I've listened to it 5 times, and every time I listen to it, I hear it differently.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. That's really beautiful. That shows growth. And so don't ever be scared of growth and change. When someone comes up to you and says you've changed, like, that's a moment to celebrate yourself.
100%.
Honestly.
And I think too, like we're always thinking, like, we're always fearing or thinking about change, but if you haven't changed who you were back here, like, why, like, it's always thinking backwards, right? Like, I don't know, it's like we need to change our thought process and think, I'm scared of who I'm going to be here if it was the same person who was here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, to give ourselves permission to, not even permission, just be okay. Like, it's okay to even just be 1% better maybe this year, and then next year maybe I'm 10% better. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer in small, consistent action for big change.
Yes.
I think 1% over time is incredible and is going to get you further along than if you jump 100%. And then it's like you freak out because now you're trying to be this person over here, which maybe needed 5 years of growth from this person who was way back here. You can't sustain this.
I actually faced exactly that this year. I love that you just said that. I did, like, it was like October, November, December, May, June, 9 months of personal growth, and had changed myself so much, and hit a wall so hard, and then shifted back to some previous habits. And for, I don't know, like 3 months now, have been like living back into that who I used to be very comfortable in, but really noticing how freaking uncomfortable I am. Like, it's been like such, like, I think one of, again, the biggest growth moments of my entire life is like, it was good, growing, doing all these things, bam, couldn't sustain it. And I've come back, but I've been able to reflect on shadows. I've been able to reflect on things that weren't healed, that I needed to heal to be able to uphold this. And so now I'm just working through that.
I think those slipbacks are really important because it shows us where we thought we were comfortable really isn't anymore.
Oh, it's not.
Right? Like, I think that's really important. Yeah. And growth journeys aren't like this. They're not linear. They're not straight up. There are dips and dives. And I do believe our growth is measured by how quickly we can jump back up and realize that, you know what, this space that we maybe were in a year ago isn't comfortable, isn't serving us anymore. Let's get back to what we were doing. And I think that's the upward trajectory that needs to happen.
And I think, well, I can see now, like, what it was that needed to be healed. So, like, doing that and actually healing it. And now, like, I feel ready. Like, we went like this, and then we went like this, but now I feel like, okay, we're going to do this quicker and easier and with less. It's almost like when you're doing something new and you're excited to grow, you do it out of adrenaline, right? Like, you're like, yeah. But this time I'm doing it out of just pure understanding. I don't know. It's like, I feel
and consciousness as opposed to just,
I'm not just doing it out of like an adrenaline. It's a conscious decision to hold it. It's totally different.
Yeah. And those upwards do go quicker, right? As we, and I think that's so beautiful. And that's just another beautiful thing of growth. And oh my gosh, we could talk forever because you really have so much to say.
For hours.
I know. So for women listening who are on this journey of growth, of self-discovery, self-care, and all of those things, learning to let go of what doesn't serve you, and, all the beautiful things we've talked about today, what would be like one tangible piece of advice you would want to give someone, whether it be on mindset or on action?
I think mindset and action go hand in hand.
They do.
Right?
They really do.
I would really say, like, if you feel it, it's on your heart. So my husband's funny. He totally understands me. And when I looked at him like 6 months ago or whatever it was, and I was like, hey babe, I think I want to do this new career and he looked at me and he was like, okay, cool. Can you sit on it for a couple weeks or a couple months? And like, if you want to do it, do it. But I feel like just having that, like, if it's sitting on your heart and it's sitting on your heart and it's sitting, that desire has been planted in your heart for a reason, and to honor it. And if you're going to honor it, you're going to have to throw all rational decision making out. It's got to go, because for you and I both, giving up the jobs that we had, it was not rational at all, right? But when you close that door and you're done with it, the compounding of everything else that's going to, it's just like a ripple effect of everything else it'll just align. When you say yes to the universe, it's just like, okay, let's go here. But it has to be a full yes. It can't be an in and out.
The full yes.
Jumping
into the full yes. So yeah, when you have that thing on your heart, I mean, there are even writing exercises you can do to pull that out of you and to see, what it is that is really there, and give you some concrete answers. But once it's there, you can't unhear it. Like once you discover it, you can't unhear it, and it just goes. And that, whatever this is for you, you gotta listen to it
and be ready for the quantum leap. So a lot of people are like, what is that gibberish? A quantum leap just means doing something at a really excelled fast pace, at a really excelled rate. And so when you say yes to the universe doesn't understand man-made time, right? So when you say yes, get ready for that something to happen really quick. Get ready for lots of change really, really quick. That quantum leap of change. So like the perfect example of this, sorry, I'll be quick, is when you jump into an airplane. You can go a really far distance in a really like short period of time. You get into your little time capsule, you said yes to this trip, and you're going, right? But if you get in that plane and the plane's like, hey, we're going to kind of do this, we're not going to do this. Oh, we never got enough speed. We never gave it a full throttle to get us off the ground. There is no room for that little thing to quantum leap to somewhere else. So
I love that analogy.
Right?
Yeah, that's
like,
beautiful.
That. Like, you got to give it the full thing, though. You got to give it a full yes.
Yeah. Engines go.
Engines go. And it can't be from here. It has to be from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Because here, your mind is going to be the one to try and talk you out of it, to be rational. Yes. To be rational. Wait, we were so safe and comfortable back here. Don't quantum leap and take off on this jet.
Yeah, not full throttle, that's scary, but you don't get off the ground to
where your heart's like, yes, let's go.
Yes. Yes, right?
So there has to be a balance there. You have to teach your brain to like let go a little bit. You have to trust that, like let the heart take over for a little while. Like this is going to be safe. It's going to be good. We're going to be great. And that's a whole nother thing. But I do agree.
Say yes and figure it out.
Say yes and figure it out.
That's been my motto for like 100%.
Yep. Fail forward, imperfect action over no action every time.
Every time. Not pretty. I mean, look at us. Look at our action tonight. If you saw the clips that the guys are going to edit out of this, you would have a good laugh.
You would. You would. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here and for giving us your time and your stories and your wisdom and your journey. And I know we could dive into so much more. I mean, we haven't even gotten into like your amazing spiritual journey you've been on and the things you've learned that way. So you're going to have to come back.
We can do a woo-woo one.
Let's do a woo-woo one. Okay, I'm so excited. Okay, well, I look forward to that. Okay. Thank you, Angela, so much for being here. Now, I am going to link Angela's Instagram and everything in the show notes so that you can find her and have more of her in your life, because you absolutely need this woman's influence in your life. So as always, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.